Hey everyone, welcome on. My name is Sarah, if you don't already know me, and welcome to Branded. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes and beyond the brand. I'm in a slightly different locale. If you are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, usually I'm up in the office, and today I'm down in the dining room because why not? The lighting's good. I don't know. Decided to switch it up. So today's podcast, I really wanted to talk to you guys about some tried and true tips that produce really great branding. Now, I had kind of this light bulb moment the other night whenever I was about to fall asleep. And that seems like that's like when I get my best ideas is right before I'm about to fall asleep. And then I have to turn over and grab my phone and make a note really quickly because it's just, I don't know, my brain is just like at its most creative right before I'm about to fall asleep. So I was thinking about something, and this is actually something that's crossed my mind a couple times. How often do you find yourself like scrolling through all of those Canva templates, right? There's hundreds and thousands of templates out there, not even just in Canva, just templates in general, right? And people are making big businesses out of templates, which I totally get. But I was thinking to myself, like, why can I never find the perfect template? And all of my excitement when I'm starting to look through all the hundreds of different templates that are available to me, for example, on Canva, I start my scroll with like this level of excitement that's like at a 20. And by, couple scrolls down, I'm halfway down the page. All of a sudden my excitement is waning, and I'm to this point where I'm just like, ugh, can I just find the fucking template already? Like my excitement quickly turns to frustration. I know I'm not the only one here because I talk to a lot of people who try to do their own design work, their own branding work, and they find themselves getting really frustrated because the idea of, okay, I've got this plug and play template. It should be a no-brainer. It should be super, super simple. Why am I still feeling frustrated? Why am I still feeling like this design just is not landing? Well, what I want to tell you, it's not the template that's the point. It's the inspiration that the template gives you. That is what actually matters. Now, this took me some time to actually realize. Like, it was something that I think I kind of knew in the back of my mind, but I didn't really know how to put words to it. And when I had that light bulb moment the other night before falling asleep, I was like, holy shit. It's not even the template. Like, the template isn't even the thing that I'm actually looking for. It's the inspiration from the variety of templates that I'm looking for. So, a little design secret that I'm going to share with you guys is I don't actually utilize one template when I'm creating something. Now, if I already have a vision in my mind of what it is I'm looking for, it's very unlikely that I'll even look at a template. I typically just start from scratch completely, and I start searching inside of like the elements and all of that inside of Canva. But let's say I don't really have that spark of creativity and inspiration from the get-go. I do look for templates. But what I don't do is I don't look for the perfect template. I look for various elements and spots of inspiration that I can grab from all sorts of different designs to then bring together into one big, beautiful, fully inspired design. And it sounds so simple, but this is something that I've had conversations with clients before, like, for example, with logos. There are so many fantastic logo templates on Canva, but almost always I'll find one, like there's an extra little line or like a little swoosh, or there's a little some kind of font that's being used. There's some little extra element here and there that I'll pull from something and add to my design. So that's kind of just a little bit of a design secret that I've discovered for myself that actually creates really unique work. Rather than replicating somebody else's work, I'm allowing my inspiration to be expanded upon by taking that template and utilizing the parts of it that actually speak to me. Because not all pieces speak to me, and that's okay, right? And that's where that frustration usually lies whenever you're trying to do this work for yourself. So looking for all of the elements that you desire and then creating your own unique style. That is how you really start to create a voice for your brand that is not a replica of somebody else's template. And you can do this with all the stuff that's out there. Like, even if you're paying for these plug and play kind of things, you don't have to use all of the pieces of them. You can just take the pieces of it that actually speak to you, that really resonate with you and your brand, and create it into something really spectacular. So I'm going to run through a couple points of how do you look for these elements? What are the things that I think of when I'm scrolling through these hundreds and thousands of templates? How am I thinking about the things that I'm looking for, that little spark of inspiration? I'm going to share a little bit of that with you today. So first and foremost, having a really clear brand story is going to be incredibly helpful. So what do I mean by this? Your brand story, it really is the foundation of your visuals. And when that story is super clear, naturally, the colors, the fonts, the imagery, all of these things will start resonating with your audience and like meshing into what that brand story is. So an example of this is recently, at the time of this recording, I'm working with a client of mine and we've got a big project. She has a huge retreat that's happening in November, and we're putting together the retreat website and the sponsor pages and all of these, all of the elements, the emails, the automations, everything is coming together, right? So we started talking about her project and the brand story. And she has, right? It's still in the process. She has such a clear vision of what that brand story is telling for this specific retreat that I was able to then understand that her focus is on, mindfulness, breath, oneness, full sensory experience. And by knowing all of these elements of her brand story, I immediately was thinking of the various types of visuals that we could start to incorporate in her website that I would not necessarily think of just naturally until I had those touch points of like, okay, this is the thing, this is the thing. So because she wants full sensory experience, we're obviously going to opt more for video versus static image, because as you're experiencing the website, there's movement. It just is a little more textile, like it feels more tangible. You can actually feel yourself immersed a little bit more into it versus a static image. Now, that doesn't mean a static image is not going to be part of the design, because it absolutely will, but it's speckled throughout and it's utilizing movement, color, depth. All of those things is what is creating this full sensory experience, which is what her brand story is really about. So understanding the brand story is going to help you look for the right kind of elements that fit exactly what it is you're looking for. So back to square one with what we were talking about, you're looking through thousands of templates on Canva. Do you know the brand story? What are those core elements of what it is you're trying to create, and find those bits and pieces throughout everything that's being offered to you, right? Just smorgasbord of templates. You don't have to choose just one. And I'm telling you, if you try to find the perfect one, you're going to feel frustration long before you find the perfect template. So really trusting yourself and understanding what that brand is really seeking is going to help you just hyperspeed the process altogether. Secondly, consistency is key. So consistency, it doesn't mean that everything should look the same, right? Like, you don't have to try to find elements that are all pink, for example. Like, let's say your brand colors are pinks and blacks and whites and grays and like neutrals. You don't have to find all elements that are pink. You could do variations of pink. You could do complementary colors to pink. You could stick to blacks and whites and neutrals and have pink as an accent color only. But consistency is key. And consistency is something that is going to just help your brand feel cohesive as a whole. Let me give you a little example of how I like to utilize consistency, and from what I witness other people doing, this kind of seems a little outside of the box, I guess, but it doesn't feel outside of the box to me. So what I like to do, let's say with logos, most logos, and it's easy to get carried away, but most logos, like the best kind of logos that are the most versatile, that work the best on all sorts of different mediums being like social media, print, websites, various sources that you're seeing this image. Most logos actually look best if they're just like black and white or some sort of very neutral kind of color. And then instead of adding in all of your brand colors into that logo, right? You've got like your pinks and your oranges and your yellows and all the things, like whatever your brand colors are, they don't all need to be smashed into that logo. Instead, what you do is you create a logo that's either black, white, gray, tan, whatever, right? It's very kind of neutral based. And you allow your brand colors to be experienced throughout the other elements of whatever it is you're creating. So, like, let's say with the website that I'm putting together, their original logo was a lot of like oranges, a little bit of green, and some kind of like an orangey, sandy, tan kind of color, right? Well, I didn't want that to be the focal point of the website. So I stripped all those colors. I made it a white, just transparent stenciled logo. And then all those other colors are experienced throughout the website page. So you get your greens, you get your oranges, you get your tans, you're feeling all of these brand colors throughout the entire experience as you scroll without it being just boom right there at the top. And then it starts to feel repetitive whenever you do kind of a super colorful logo and then you have all the color elsewhere. It starts to feel a little bit too much. Simplicity is key. This is my next point. Embrace simplicity. It really is hard as your excitement is building up and you're adding on things and you're adding on things and you're adding on things. Before you know it, it feels clunky. It's too much, right? And it's okay to have that, to really run with the excitement and allow it to build, but then understand that it's okay to strip it back. It's okay to let that excitement sort of snowball into something, but then be sure to give yourself a place to pause and maybe stop the project for the day, come back the next day and see it with fresh eyes and be like, okay, simplicity is key. Let's pull it back. Let's scale back all the parts that are just fluff that really don't need to be there. And let's really just get very, very specific on what our messaging is, what the visuals are, et cetera, right? Simplicity will often lead to a stronger and like more potent design than something that feels a little bit cluttered and just too much, right? So it really boils down to intentionality and purposefulness. Are you being very intentional with the colors that you're using, the placement of these elements, and are you being really purposeful with how you're using them? Because every element that you're utilizing should have a reason for being there. Like if you have something that's just a placeholder because you're like, oh, I feel like this is too much negative space, it's okay to have some negative space. I was just playing around with this client's website earlier today, and there's some bits and pieces of it where I had put in placeholders because it just needed a little bit of something. And then as I was looking through it more and more, I started shifting some of the design. I realized, you know what? I don't need this. Let me scale back. Let me peel back this layer. That's just fluff. I don't need that. Let's really get focused on the elements that need to be there. So when you're scrolling through all these templates and you're looking for the right kind of thing, simplicity is key. Because you can always add on to something when you start super simple And I will say, if I'm looking at a template inside of Canva and I find something that I like, I almost always will remove almost every single element. And inevitably, I'm starting from scratch, but the inspiration has been sparked that doesn't even matter, right? I selected the template because it had various elements that I liked. So it's okay to just remove the stuff that you don't like, to remove the extra things that just, they're not part of that particular design equation. That's okay, right? Keeping it simple. On this note, I want to really, really emphasize that it's okay to reuse and repurpose images, video, copy throughout what you are designing. So, for example, if it's a website, I would actually really recommend that you spend a good amount of time getting that first page. And when I say website, this can also be a funnel, right? Same concepts are, they're the same. But I would spend time on that first page, really making it very robust. Like, give all the juicy, juicy information that you're wanting to provide. And when you start noticing how you're designing this work and the flow of it, you can then duplicate that page, create another page, remove the pieces that aren't appropriate for that other page, right? Add in other pieces, but you can repurpose stuff. You do not have to have new images, new videos, new copy for every single thing you do. And on top of that, the copy that you use in your website can absolutely be used as the copy that is used in your emails. So if you are selling something on your website and you have a whole section about what it is, you're giving people all these descriptors, these really beautiful words and phrases that are getting them to then say, yes, I want to buy this thing. You can take bits and pieces of that and add it to an email that gets automatically sent to them after they make the purchase, reigniting that excitement for them. They may not see the email right away, but let's say maybe it's a couple hours later, the next day, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I did just buy this thing. And they feel yet again that excitement that they felt when they decided to buy in the first place. Repurpose and reuse the best bits of your branding throughout your branding. Not everybody is going to see everything that you do. There's probably 1% of your audience that will see all the copy on your website, all the copy in your social media, all the copy on your emails. Like, it is very rare that someone is going to see all of the things that you create. So why not repurpose and reuse? Keep it simple for you, right? Make it make sense for you. Work smarter. Work smarter. If you have a really fantastic idea, you better be blasting that idea all over the place. You do not have to come up with something new and innovative every single day of the week. That will burn you out. Trust me. I've tried. And then lastly, what I want to talk about is infusing your personality. So when you're searching these templates, when you're working on designing something, be absolutely certain that you're infusing your personality into it. Now, of course, if, like, as a designer, I don't necessarily infuse my personality into things that I'm doing for other people. The goal is to infuse their personality into it by having conversations with them, right? But let's say, for the sake of this, that we're talking about you and your brand and your business. Infuse your personality into it. So even if you find a template, take the bits and pieces away from the template that just don't suit you. Add the pieces in that do. It's okay if you grab a star element from here, a line from here, a text block from here, and you create your own thing and you make something uniquely you, while still allowing these templates to help you, to help boost you, right? So the whole point of this is to really just remind you that templates are void of personality. Templates are not the point. They are there to be the inspiration for you to create something that is uniquely yours. I hope you found today helpful. Tried and true design tips for great branding. It really starts with these 4 categories: getting really clear on your brand story, understanding that consistency across your design elements is what's going to be that cohesion that people will be able to recognize you here, 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 and here. Keeping it simple so it doesn't feel cluttered and messy. It really helps your messaging just stick that landing, right? And infusing your personality into it. Because people aren't going to buy your thing, buy your service, buy your product. They're not going to buy it just because it's great. People buy from other people. People buy from people they trust. People buy from people that they feel connected to. So allow yourself to be seen. All right, until next week, I'll see you guys. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.